Now, it may not have the local pomp and circumstance of an even year at the polls, but tomorrow is Election Day. And there are a couple big issues on the ballot for people here in Multnomah County and also across the Columbia in Clark County and the state of Washington. Okay, here in Portland, it's all about parks. There's a parks levy on the ballot where Multnomah County voters will decide on a property tax renewal and increase as the current parks levy expires this year. Here's a look at what would change if this new levy is approved. A lot of numbers here, so try and stick with me. Instead of the 80-cent property tax on every $1,000 of assessed value, it would jump to $1.40, a 75% increase. For the median single-family residential property owner in Portland, assessed around $220,000, that would mean an increase of $11 per month, or about $130 more per year. Now, obviously, if your property is assessed at more than the median, $220,000, those numbers would be higher. The new levy would last 5 years and is projected to raise $456 million. Okay, notably here, Portland City Councilor Dan Ryan, who was previously in charge of Portland Parks, said he will be voting no on this measure. Writing Friday, "I love our parks, but this levy asks Portlanders to pay for inefficiencies the Bureau hasn't fixed. The Parks Bureau can and should generate more of its own revenue instead of relying again on taxpayers. Until we see real institutional change, it is not fair to keep coming back to voters for another tax increase. I'm voting no." Okay, other critics point to a recent audit of Parks and Rec that found 86% of Portland's parks assets were in poor or very bad condition. And the massive maintenance backlog for those assets, hundreds of millions of dollars worth, having no long-term funding plan to fix it. But despite those concerns, Mayor Keith Wilson was out stumping for the levy last week, going door to door, urging people to vote yes.
We have a parks levy on Tuesday that we're voting on, and if you could help with that, that would be great. I know that it's a difficult time, but we have to value the parks, and this is the time to really make sure that that value, that asset, is really high performing and well maintained.
Now, across the river in Vancouver, voters will decide on whether or not to fund 13 more police officers through a property tax hike of 15 cents per $1,000 of assessed value, coming out to about an extra $75 a year for a $500,000 home. Okay, the city tried something similar last year, but it failed at the ballot box. So the city's mayor trimmed the measure down, hoping to garner enough support to pass something this time around.
There were additional pieces in Prop 4, additional technology, for example, traffic lights and speeding lights and those types of things. We took that off. We have so many officers with a great amount of overtime. So 2 officers are doing the work of 3 with all of the overtime.
The mayor says Vancouver has the second lowest staffed police department in the state among cities of its size. She says the only answer is simply to hire more officers.
We need those officers to stop doing all the overtime. Go home. Let's bring in that 3rd officer to fill in that gap.
Okay, if approved, the measure is projected to raise $6 million a year for the next 6 years.